this, this is what the word fish looks like to a dyslexic person. Imagine your eyes flipping the letters of the word fish to F-S-I-H. You try so hard to pronounce it correctly, but instead you're punished for goofing off. Your parents and teachers constantly fussing at you. Your classmates ridicule you and call you stupid. This is what school is like for a child with dyslexia. According to Kids Health, 15 to 20% of the U.S.'s population is born with a specific learning disability called dyslexia. Now I will tell you about a few different types of dyslexia, what it is, the symptoms, causes, and cures for it. According to Mayo Clinic, dyslexia is an impairment in your brain that causes the translation from written images into meaningful language to mess up. My mom, Jennifer Garner, who was diagnosed with dyslexia when she was only 8 years old, says, for me, it's not being able to remember a string of numbers. It affects my speech sometimes. I get my words mixed up a lot, and I remember things in mirror images. This is why I'm so bad with directions. Also, according to the Webster Dictionary definition, is a variable, often a familiar learning disability involving difficulties in acquiring and processing language that is typically manifested by a lack of proficiency in reading, spelling, and writing. Just because a person has dyslexia does not mean they're not intelligent. It simply means that some areas of learning may be more difficult for them. According to Medicine.net, dyslexia can affect several different areas of your brain's function. Visual dyslexia is characterized by letter and number reversal, as well as not being able to write symbols in a correct sequence. Auditory dyslexia is difficulty with the sounds of letters and groups of letters. These sounds are perceived as jumbled or not heard correctly. Dysgraphia is a child's difficulty controlling and holding a pencil to make the correct markings on the paper. Everyday researchers are discovering more and more different types of dyslexia. The symptoms of dyslexia vary greatly because there are so many different degrees of this learning disability. A person with dyslexia can easily get their letters mixed up. They also get the meanings of words confused with other meanings of words. Math is atrocious for them because they get their numbers confused just as easily as they do their letters. My mom has a hard time with directions because she sees the mirror images of roads and houses. According to WebMD, a child with dyslexia reads at a much lower level than a child without this learning disability. They also have difficulty with sentence structure and forming sentences properly. These are just a few of the many symptoms of a person with dyslexia. According to Mayo Clinic, people with dyslexia are normally of average or above average intelligence. My mom's teachers often got very angry with her and called her stupid. Then they would receive her IQ test and see that she was very bright and then call her lazy. They tried to stick her in special ed several times. However, my grandparents refused every time. Dyslexia seems to be concerned with the area of the brain that involves language. It also tends to run in families. According to WebMD, the cause of dyslexia is not clear. However, it's probably an inherited disorder because it runs in families. For instance, my mom, her two brothers, and several people of their distant relatives have this disorder. Finally, there is really no cure for dyslexia. However, there are several puzzles and activities to exercise the brain. Hearing, vision, and touch are normally worked to help work the senses. Reading to them also helps expand their vocabulary. My mom began to read more and see her tutor a few more times a week when she was in the 5th grade. This definitely helped her cope with her disability. One of the main things she remembers her tutor doing is covering her hand to where she couldn't see it except for in a mirror. And then he would make her write the word until it looked correctly in the mirror. To this day, my mom uses a lot of association to help her cope with her disability. In conclusion, this has been just a little bit about dyslexia, the different types of dyslexia, the symptoms, the causes, and the cures for it. I hope I have given you a little more insight than what you previously had. Remember, just because a person has dyslexia does not mean that they are not intelligent or slow. It simply means that some areas of learning will be more difficult for them and they'll require different learning techniques, which is perfectly fine. So please remember to treat your fellow students and classmates with kindness. Thank you.